So, good evening to everyone who has been tagged here. I decided to tag you guys since you're the only ones who are available and convenient in the long list of friends, although several special ones, like Liz over there, is tagged by default since she's my number one fan, my number one critic, my number one basher. I'd like to talk tonight about something that's very sentimental to me. And by the way, if you've noticed, we already have a new graphic design. I already made a new graphic design for the manifesto of the Black activist. This will be my personal podcast since Ram speaks his opinion will be transferred over to the Thinking Hub as part of let's just say plans to reorganize network stations. So tonight, I'd like to share something very sensitive and very traumatic. So, I'd like to first and foremost issue a trigger warning. I'd like to issue a trigger warning for those suffering from depression, from mental health concerns. I'm issuing a special trigger warning since some of my statements might cause you to feel uncertain, right? Today is November 8th, 2019. And today marks my third year since I got bullied real time. Yes, that's true. I was bullied. The story goes as follows. I was national president of all political science students in the country. All right. And my assumption of the post was not an elected one. It was an appointed one. So I wouldn't prolong the agony. Long story short, I became national president. We made an oath taking in Zamboanga. Things went awry. Things got sour. And eventually at the end, the camp was split completely into two. There's this camp who really loved to, just be typical student. If we're comparing it to the modern day student we have today, they're the ones who would watch Netflix, watch white chicks, watch YouTube and vlogs and all. And the other camp is the camp of those people who really wanted to get things done. And for those who know me personally, I've seen my former high school classmate here. Hi, Sab. Sab knows me personally, and so are my trainees as well. So are my colleagues at work. So are my business partners before. But those who know me very personally would really know that I am someone who is very passionate to the point that I yell at people or I throw heavy statements because I feel that they're not doing their job. But it never crossed into my mind to bully them and all. So eventually, things got awry, and November 2016, I decided to relinquish my post. I decided to give up as president since nobody's talking to me anymore, and I just gave up. For those who took Pulsai, you guys would know that I visited schools, I talked to schools, and I had this major flaw of being bossy, of being intemperamental, of being quick-tempered. I have this negative attitude of being too authoritarian. So I'd accept that. That's why probably people don't want to talk to me or something like that. Eventually, when that day came, somebody posted on a Facebook post, I'll screen out the names, I'll censor the names in the name of fairness, and I already moved on, so I'll explain the point of this entire story later. So someone posted, thank you guys, I love you so much, or something like that. Yay, let's celebrate. The national convention will push through. Yay. So I love you guys. I hope to see you soon. P.S. Those who do not take a bath are not allowed. In other words, bawal ang walang paligo. And then they all threw comments, they all threw statements saying, oh my God, hindi pala siya nagsisipilyo or something like that. Or, buti naman hindi niya naamoy ang sarili niya, something like that. The statements are very heavy and it's concerning someone's hygiene. And for the worst part, they're referring to me. They were strongly referring to me all those times that I felt brutally offended to the point where I got into a fit of depression, something that lasted even up to this day. So that was a very heavy task laid upon me. I visited schools. I left Davao to Manila. From Manila, I went to Isabela, and then Isabela to Nueva Vizcaya to Manila. It even got into a point where I got cash-strapped and broke. So I got broke, and a good friend of mine, I'd consider this guy a good friend of mine, a political science professor, I won't mention names, eventually helped me out. Gave me some funds initially, asked to stay in his unit, booked me a flight ticket home, and eventually I lost money. The flight somehow didn't push through, so he gave me funds so that I can head home to back to my hometown via ship. On my way on the ship, I had nobody. I only had this specific amount of money, my things, nothing more, nothing less. I got into the ship. It was a tourist class, and I even resorted to going into beds, vacant beds, recently abandoned beds of passengers who disembarked from the vessel and had to take their food. Like literally, their leftovers, I had to take them. I got nothing to eat. Hello. So I got some toothpaste from another passenger. I tried to eat as much as I can. I tried to survive. My only consolation at that time was talking to people. Eventually, I got into Cagayan de Oro. I was already crying because I don't have any money left. Like, I was cash-strapped, literally zero. I was zero in a place where I have no relatives, no friends, no nada. Luckily, a fellow officer of mine from the previous year's national board came and lent me some money. He lent me 1,000 pesos or something, and I took a bus home. So eventually the trauma didn't subside. They called me things like mabaho. And admittingly, let's admit, I may neglect my hygiene at times. I rarely take a bath. But it's not a reason. I'd say I take a bath not because I feel like it's a daily obligation. I take a bath because I need to be clean. And it came to a boiling point where I was so busy with leadership roles. I was so busy with stuff. I sleep late at night or even not sleep at all. And eventually, they'd bully me out. Unknowingly, they made a group chat for themselves. I left the specific group chat and then they all talked about things like, yes, hi, mabuti naman, nawala na si Presidente. Or, hi, salamat, nawala na yung salot, or something like that. And eventually, they'd blurt out words. And some of you might have noticed it. It's on the Thinking Hub. I already shared it too. Some of you might read the words, oh, hindi naman sa binabash natin si Ram. It's not about bashing Ram. It's about the organization, for the organization's good. It's not about, it's not only, let me reiterate this, it's not only about bashing Ram. It's, although it's part of it, I remember clearly those words. It's not about bashing, it's not only about bashing Ram, but it's part of it. And that shook me to the core. Those are people who I thought were my friends. Those were people who I thought were family to me. And eventually, I had to live the rest of my days for 3 years thinking that I was worthless, that I was senseless, that I was shameless, and that I do not deserve to be what I can be. Ikaw ba naman tawaging mabaho sa social media? Ikaw ba naman libakin ng patalikod? Ikaw ba naman pagsabihan mga masasakit na bagay? Do you think you'd still have the guts to carry on? You think you still have the strength to fight on? I don't think so. And the trauma subsided. But even up to this day, whenever I see those, it shook me. And it still shakes me up to this very day. I kept my silence for 2 years. And on the 3rd year, I decided to speak out. Right now. First and foremost, I don't have any other topics. Second is that it's very important for me to share this. Because leaders, even leaders are vulnerable. I have that hashtag prepared. Even leaders are vulnerable, guys. We see friends, we see colleagues, we see partners who we think are fine, who we think are okay, who we think are infallible and invulnerable, but deep inside they have this deep emotions that they just cry out in the middle of the night thinking what they might have done wrong. I have a friend, I won't mention names again. Sorry if I'm reiterating this. Sorry if I'm making disclaimers of not mentioning names, because I also have this habit of mentioning names, and I refuse to do so because it's a very sensitive topic. So I have this friend who happened once to be the chairperson of an organizing committee, but she had to take antidepressant medication simply because probably that's clinical depression already. I have several friends who are leaders in their own respective fields, and then deep inside they just cry in silence, they just tear out in silence because they think nobody cares for them. Worse, and I'm giving the trigger warning in advance, several of my friends ended their lives because of pressure, because of being unwanted, and above all, because of bullying. And this topic is so special to me, it's so important to me. Because those words, the mabaho, the walang kwenta, the pabibo, the papapel, those words molded me to who I am now. Probably Without those words, I wouldn't be doing this manifesto. I wouldn't be the black activist. I uh, I wouldn't be a training supervisor in my former company. I wouldn't be a technical vocational trainer right now. I wouldn't make a page with 413 likes and post something with 14,000 people reached, or 280 something likes and reacts and 100 something shares. It wouldn't have been possible without those words. Probably without them bullying me, I wouldn't become who Good Society's admin are. If it weren't for those painful words, I would still be immature. People would still think that I'm a jerk. They still do, believe me. And had I not felt betrayal, I wouldn't realize the value of self-love. So eventually, and I would excuse for the dogs barking if you could hear it, but eventually all of those subsided. I have no idea where they are now. I have no idea what happened to them, to all of them to be exact. Some of them blocked me up front. Doesn't matter. Some of them even went to the point of, you know, I don't know, vilifying my image. No idea. Doesn't matter at all. Until recently, I saw, when I was admin R of Hugo Society, I got a message from someone asking to shout out their school and their advisor. That advisor happened to be one of my officers before. I posted a meme on Hugo Society. Remember the cat meme, guys, where this crying girl is confronted by a somewhat yelling cat? I did a meme about that, about how political science is abbreviated, and somebody reacted. That person who reacted happens also to be one of those who hurled painful words at me. I can still see them, and I can still read about them every day. And for someone who's been with depression, it's tough. It's very, very tough. It's not a joke. Eventually, you have to move on and realize that, yeah, there are a couple of people, they'd spread malice to millions, but who cares? You have yourself. You have people and friends who believe in you. If you don't have them, at least you have yourself. One of the lessons that attorney Eli Velez Pamatong taught me, this guy, yeah, you might say, yeah, Ram, we know that guy. That guy's the nuisance president wannabe of the Philippines. But he's a decent guy. He's a good one. And he gave me this advice. Life is full of commitments and betrayals, commitments and betrayals, commitments and betrayals. And in the end, you cannot rely on anyone. You cannot trust anyone but yourself. The commitments and betrayals were repeated thrice by him, so I have to repeat it thrice as well. That guy was vilified, too. Many people called him crazy. Many people called him a delusional lunatic. But for anyone who knows Ellie in person, he's a very gentle guy. He loves children. He talks about simple lives. He loves watching movies. And he's fond of collecting coins and shares them to other people. He likes reading, typing books, And one of his short passions is to make logos and images of his group. But yet people vilify him. And I'm still amazed why he still stands up like that. So I got that same idea as well. And nobody cared about me. Nobody accepted my flaws. And yes, friends, guys, colleagues, brethren, I am a flawed person. I am imperfect. I have imperfections in and imperfections out. I'll take that. And as much as I want to deny it, but I can't. So I'll have to face it. Yes, I am a man of many flaws, of many imperfections, and of many mistakes. And for that, I am sorry. But also for that, this is me. 3 years have passed, and a lot of things changed. A lot of things happened. I had a switch of locations, uh, switch of lifestyles, switch of arenas. I got Liz. Probably without Liz, I don't know where to go. Literally. I got friends. I got new sets of friends who believe in me. I got people who accept me for who I am. And for that, I'm thankful. Although I still face the everyday challenge of telling my story, and then people who do an about face and say, hey, I don't like you. Okay, fine. Don't like me then. Doesn't matter. But that's me. I have no idea, as anyone here would, about the plight of several leaders, several people to be exact, thousands, probably millions, who has no coping mechanism at all and have no idea what to do when they get dejected and rejected and trampled upon by people around them. Everybody's vulnerable. Even I, even several leaders are. So if you have time, if you've got all the time that you need, and you see that if you're a follower and you see that your leader is suffering or is working hard or trying hard, do your best to appreciate them. Yung Filipino, siguro mabaho nga talaga sila. Siguro walang ligo, walang sipilyo, walang palit-palit ng damit. Pero isipin mo naman, baka naman wala siyang ligo kasi nagpupuyat siya magtrabaho. Hindi gaya natin na batugan, paupo, pa-relax, pa-picture. Tama? Tama. So you have to appreciate them. We have no idea what adrenaline they have to do all those things at once, not because they're required to, not because they needed to, not because they are obliged to, but because they wanted to. That's what how a leader should be. And eventually, probably, if you're a leader yourself, we will have we'll always have detractors. We'll always have people who hate us. And basing on my story, or they posted on social media the very vile, corrupt, dark messages that they had, if you were in my place, I'd strongly suggest to just shake it off. Just shake it off. Because they have no idea what you're doing. and what you're up to. Repay them with kindness, anyways, because studies show, and most common sense would show, that people who hurt other people are people who never felt loved at all. In Filipino taray parlance, kaya ka siguro ganyan kasi hindi ka mahal ng nanay mo. Right? So just move on. Just shake it off. Do not think that you're all alone. Please, do not think that you're all alone. Followers, leaders, everyone, if you feel that you're all alone, you're not. Amanda Kusi, or Ava Max as we know her, by her nom de plume, or by her stage name, has a song for that. And it goes probably like this. Just close your eyes first, and then think of all the things that other people told you. Probably you might hear this, but it goes like this. I won't sing because if I sing, someone here beside me might whack me with a laptop. So yeah. So do you ever feel like a misfit? Everything inside you's dark and twisted. Oh, but it's okay to be different, cause baby, so am I. So if you have you ever felt like you're a misfit in your group? Have you ever felt that people ignore you? Have you ever felt that people think that you're a twisted person? That you don't deserve to be in their company? It's okay. So am I. We're all in the same boat. And what matters most right now is for you to stand up. And always remember that if you need somebody, I'm right here. And I won't hesitate to talk to you, to share with you, to console with you, to commiserate with you. And above all, regarding Pamatong's quote earlier, I think there's something wrong with that. Life is full of commitments and betrayals, and you have nobody to trust but yourself. I think that's not the case. Trust God. Big guy up there's listening, watching at you. He knows what your heart is all about. And he has the right track to console you. So if you think that nobody's listening to you, fine. Look up in the sky. He's there. You may not know it. He's there. And frankly speaking, he is one of the reasons why I survived today. And he's the only being that I would owe my life with to who I am right now, to what I am right now. And my sufferings in life are the very reasons why right now I am me. And if ever you feel you've collapsed, remember what Nehemiah, the prophet of the exiled Jews, told the people of Israel and prayed to God that we, in spite of all the ashes, will arise and build. So you're not alone, guys. And always remember what I always tell you, you are always loved. So that's my tale, that's my story. That's what November 8th is for me. And I'm very happy that a lot of you listened. I hope. I think. Thanks, anyways. So I thank you guys for listening to tonight's podcast. Speaking of Arise and Build, tomorrow is the 23rd anniversary of our church, Radiant Life City Church. We'll be celebrating in the University of the Philippines Integrated School in Diliman, Quezon City. So shout out to everyone who'll be coming. We'll see you there. Tonight, by the way, you might be wondering, I won't be around. You won't be hearing my voice. In the Hugot Society, no podcast specials, by the way. On my end, from the Hugot Society, I will not be doing a podcast, special podcast for that period. Katunying, or a good friend of mine, Antonio Jason Fabe, will be doing that podcast for you guys. For the Thinking Hub, I have no idea yet. Probably do a rerun of this podcast for a special feel. On my personal page, I won't be doing any special podcast for Saturday. Probably I'll do a quick contemplation. That's just 15 minutes. Just say hi, hello, and what I felt during the anniversary. And I have to hurry off because there's another training and another training and another training. So my life's kind of busy lately, but since I committed to create podcasts for everyone, here I am doing podcasts for everyone. So just tune in, guys, to every single group that I have. Personally, this is my personal podcast. If you wish to listen to something funny and satirical, you might want to go to Political Science Hugot Society. I do podcasts there. And I give prizes too. So if you're a pol sci student, or if you wanna have a free ebook on your desk, then that's the best place to go. You get a free ebook there. Promise. You won't regret it. If you want a serious discussion, we have the Thinking Hub. The Thinking Hub has two podcasters right now, so probably one of them might cover up for the night, or they wouldn't, they shouldn't. I have no idea yet. So if you want a very serious, in-depth discussion, the Thinking Hub is for you. I'm calling all online broadcasting companies. I know you're listening. I know some of you, so don't hide from me. I know some of you, and I know that some of you have been hosts of different podcast shows. So please, if you're listening, guys, I want a microphone. I want a platform to speak with, because it feels so stressful for me to just whack out and banter and nag like an old wife day after day after day. So please, if you have any, if you'd love to have me as part of your daily broadcast or weekly broadcast, I'd be very happy to strike a deal with you guys. Just send me a message. I'd be very happy to provide you with anything that I need. And by the way, I'd like to give a shout out to everyone who listened. I have no idea who you are because my application's kind of hazy, so I have no idea who's listening right now. But big shout outs to everybody, and also for those who will be joining me in quick trainings and quick hires. Just I'll be transitioning over to the next page or the next group probably in about an hour and a half though. And probably that's it for my end. Today's November 8th, guys. It's a very special day for me because it changed my life. I don't know with you, but always remember that November 8th or any other day, you are loved. God loves you. Have a great night, guys. Thank you so much for listening, and have a good night.